Welcome back to Norse Mythology 101. We've explored Odin, Thor, and Freya, and then we cracked open the chaotic side of the pantheon with Loki, Baldur, and Heimdall. But what if I told you that everything we think we know about Loki is only half the story? Yeah, now I've got your attention. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood figures in the Norse world, the Firestarter, the shapeshifter, the god who doesn't play by anyone's rules. But maybe, just maybe, there's more to Loki than betrayal and mischief. What if the Loki of myth, the one who fathers monsters and sparks Ragnarok, was born not just of ancient gods, but of household fire and forgotten folklore? Let's break it down. There's a fascinating theory put forward in the journal Viking and Medieval Scandinavia. It suggests there might have been two Lokis in Norse culture. One we know well, the mythological troublemaker. The other, a lesser-known, almost forgotten figure, a domestic spirit, a Veda, a household presence believed to live under the hearth, beneath the very heart of the home. Sound strange? Hang in there, I'll explain. This Loki as hearth spirit is closely tied to a figure in Scandinavian folklore known as the Ash Lad. You've probably heard of him. The youngest son, the lazy one sitting by the fireplace, underestimated by everyone. And yet when real challenges arise, it's the Ash Lad who rises to the occasion. Clever, cunning, even magical. Sound familiar? Both Loki and the Ash Lad are outsiders. Both operate on the edge of society. Both are capable of incredible things, but never quite belong. The article calls them semi-otherworlders. They're not fully divine, not entirely mortal. They're bridgewalkers, problem solvers, agents of chaos, but also creation, and most importantly, they're indispensable. Think about it. Loki doesn't just break things, he makes things. He challenges the dwarves to craft the gods' greatest treasures, Thor's hammer, Odin's spear, Sif's golden hair. He doesn't just stir the pot, he's the one bringing ingredients no one else could find. Even when he causes pain, it often leads to transformation. That's not contradiction, that's pattern. Now, let's go back to that hearth. In pre-modern Scandinavia, the hearth wasn't just where you made dinner, it was sacred. A place of warmth, protection, transformation. The spirits believed to dwell there, the Veda, were protectors of luck and prosperity. Treat them well, you thrived. Offend them, prepare for mischief, sounding more and more like our old friend Loki. The theory goes like this. Over time, stories of these hearth spirits, the youth by the fire, clever and unruly, grew. Layer by layer, tale by tale, they evolved, merged with older, pre-Christian ideas, gained power. And as Norse myths were finally written down during the medieval period, what emerged wasn't just a god of chaos, but a cultural echo, a myth built atop folklore. And this isn't unique to Norse mythology. Dionysus started as a rustic spirit of vines and madness before rising to Mount Olympus. The Slavic domovoi, the house spirit, has ties to both trickster figures and ancestor veneration. Mythology is never frozen. It shifts, it absorbs, it adapts to fit the needs of the people who tell it. And that's what's happening here. Even after the Viking Age ended, the image of Loki didn't vanish. In Iceland, tales of cunning spirits lived on. In rural Scandinavia, the Ash Lad became a staple of fairy tales. And in modern pop culture, from Marvel blockbusters to Neil Gaiman's novels, Loki has become a symbol of ambiguity, of rebellion, of change. But that ambiguity, it has roots, deep roots. Let's zoom out. Why would societies create figures like this in the first place? Why give so much narrative weight to someone who doesn't fit in? Simple. Because chaos is real. Outsiders are real. And sometimes it's the outcast who sees what others can't. Loki forces the gods to confront their flaws. He reveals hidden truths. He breaks stagnation, even if it means burning things down. He is the test, the crucible, the spark in the fire. Even his betrayal, killing Baldur, refusing to weep, makes more sense through this lens. The outsider turned scapegoat, the hearth spirit no longer welcome at the table, His story becomes a tragic arc, not just an evil turn. And when he faces Heimdall at Ragnarok, it's not just good versus evil, it's chaos versus order, a clash of necessary forces. So, was Loki ever really evil? That depends on how you define it. In Norse myth, morality isn't clean cut. The gods lie. They cheat. They wage wars of pride. Loki just does it with a grin and a clever punchline. And unlike most of the gods, he pays the price in full. Bound in a cave, venom dripping on his face, until the end of the world. A punishment fit for a villain? Maybe. Or maybe the price of truth in a world that feared it. This theory doesn't rewrite Loki. It reframes him. Not as a contradiction, but a convergence. A figure born of myth, firelight, and the very human fear of what lies just outside the circle of trust. He's not just the trickster. He's the question, the challenge, the necessary force of change. And maybe that's why we still talk about him. So next time someone paints Loki as just the villain, remind them, some fires don't burn to destroy, they burn to forge. Thanks for joining me on Norse Mythology 101. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into Loki's origins, be sure to stick around. Until then, keep your hearth warm, your mind sharp, and your eyes open. Because you never know when Loki's already in the room.